Hello, and welcome back to That Mama Plays Guitar. I'm Abby Freeland, I'm a mother, and I play guitar, so hence the name. Well, first of all, I just want to start out and tell you this kind of interesting story, something that happened to me here. I'm from the United States. I live here in Cameroon, Africa, with my family. This is where we work. A few months ago, it was probably two and a half months ago, I started waking up and my fingers, like the first knuckle of these two fingers was like a little bit sore. And I was like, oh, that's so weird. Maybe I jammed it like playing volleyball or something. But the next morning, got up again and like all of my fingers were sore right there. And it was like hard to bend them. And the next morning, same thing, started getting worse and worse. It spread to this hand. It was really hard to practice guitar because I couldn't play for very long. And so it wasn't getting better, and I was seriously like, I'm getting like rheumatoid arthritis. You know, people get that really early sometimes, and this is seriously endangering my guitar career here. So then a couple weeks after that, I started getting this tingling in my toe, especially in my right big toe. And it was like tingling, and then it just went numb, and my left big toe was starting to get tingly too. And I remembered, yeah, I've had this feeling before, and it's always here in Cameroon. It never happens to me in the States. But now I had this, arthritic stuff going on in my fingers. And I realized that it could be the water we were drinking. And we have a heavy-duty filter, a catadine filter, and it uses something called silver nitrate. It's one of the elements inside this ceramic candle inside of it. It's like a big bucket, and there's these filters, and then it drips down into another big bucket. And anyway, the silver nitrate is good because it filters out a lot of stuff, but for some people it causes this arthritis-like symptoms, which I've never had before. We've always had the same filter, but like I said, I've had the numb toes before. So as soon as I thought of that, I went out and bought myself some bottled water, started drinking it. Within 24 hours, I'm not joking, the tingling and numbness in my toes were gone. For my fingers, it took like several more weeks actually, but I could tell it was getting better right away, and now they're pretty much. Man, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful because I was seriously freaking out that I wasn't going to be able to play guitar anymore. So, another thing I wanted to bring up was that on my last vlog, I gave some misinformation, which my dad kindly pointed out to me, and that's when I was talking about tablature. And what I said wrong was that the top line of tablature, when you're reading it, corresponds to the 6th string, and that is wrong. The top line of tablature corresponds to the 1st string, which is right here, the E string. So hopefully that didn't mess you up too bad. Today I want to play this piece for you, which I showed you last time. It's called Lagrima, and it's by Tarrega. And I was telling you that I really wanted to just nail this piece down again because it's a great classical guitar piece, and it's my favorite that I've ever played. And I'd sort of lost part of it over the years, like while I was having kids and stuff. So I really wanted to get it memorized again and be able to play it well. So yeah, Tarrega, I learned a little bit more about him since I'm trying to learn more about these big guitarists, and he is definitely up there. He's a big guitarist. He was called the father of classical guitar. And the reason he was called that is he really made the shift for the guitar from an accompaniment instrument to a solo instrument, which is big, and that was continued by Andre Segovia after him. So Tarrega was born in 1852 in Spain. He died in 1909, and he just really made some amazing contributions to classical guitar. He transcribed a lot of works by like Bach and other classical musicians for the guitar, but he also wrote a lot of pieces that are just gorgeous. He lived and wrote music during the Romantic period of classical music. So it was, just to give you sort of a time frame, there was Baroque music, then classical music, and then Romantic classical music. And I also wanted to share a little story that I read about him that concerns this piece. I'm just going to read it to you because it's better to read it. There's a story about his visit to England. After a concert, some people saw that the musician was in low spirits. "What is the matter, maestro?" they asked him. "Do you miss home? Your family, perhaps?" They advised him to capture that moment of sadness in his music. Thus he conceived the theme of one of his most memorable works, Lagrima, literally meaning teardrop. After playing in London, he came back to Novelda for his wedding. Now, I thought that was kind of silly that they thought it was like his home and family when he was about to get married. Like, in my interpretation, he obviously missed his fiancée and wanted to get married. So, I mean, no one wants to be separated from their fiancé right before you're getting married. So I think that's what made him sad. Yeah, another thing I realized about this piece as I was researching, and it kind of says it in the story, is that this was one of his most memorable pieces. It's one of his most popular pieces, and a lot of classical guitarists play this piece. You can even, you can look up other very famous guitarists playing this piece, and I didn't realize, I knew that it's a beautiful piece, but when I started playing it many years ago, I didn't research that, and so yeah, you can watch other people playing it. Not quite as famous as me, but pretty famous. Just kidding. And another thing is that it's more technically it's a like intermediate kind of piece, and I think in my mind it's easy to think, well, a piece that's more difficult is a better piece, and that's just not true. And this piece is an example of that a piece can be technically, it's pretty difficult, but it's definitely not extremely difficult. But a piece can be simple, even technically, but very, very beautiful and worthy of performance. So yeah, that just helped me think about that more. It's important to play music that I love and that sounds beautiful no matter what level it's at technically. So I'm going to play this piece for you. I'm really happy that I really feel like I've got it nailed down again, and yeah, let me share it with you. elements that I just really love about this piece, and also some elements that, you know, challenged me. I love the way this piece starts out. That's what really draws you in, is these tenths that just walk up the neck of the guitar. It's just beautiful the way the guitar sounds those. And you know, a tenth, it's like a third. It's the same notes, but it's more than an octave apart. So I just love this first couple measures, like this. So yeah, the way that it just walks up like that. It's just lovely. And you know, I love the neck work. It's just the way that your fingers are moving up and down the neck. I feel like I'm kind of doing, you know, a dance, a real precise dance with my fingers, and I just love that. Especially, well, I really like the second section here. There's a measure that's like, let's see, that's something I really love. A couple of things I was really trying to think about and focus on for this piece to do well. One of them is muting, especially at the end of the sections. This piece is made up of 2 sections. There's several repeats. So at the end of the first section, it ends with this real low bass note there, and it's important to mute that before either starting the section over again or moving on to the next section. So there's a lot of choices in guitar. What hand are you going to use to mute? I could use this finger here and just go like that, or as I chose to do, I just move my palm down like this as I'm getting ready to play the next notes, and mute that, then start. And yeah, that's actually kind of one of those things you don't think about at first when you're starting to play guitar, but it makes a big difference because you don't want notes sounding several measures past when they're supposed to. So I'll just play that for you. And then I mute that. Like that. Another thing was the vibrato. I tried to incorporate some vibrato into this piece because it sounds beautiful that way. So especially in this measure in the second section. Yeah, here we go. It goes. So vibrato is real beautiful on a steel string guitar because it sounds pretty good. I mean, sometimes when you watch classical guitars playing on a nylon string, like they're really like wrenching on it, but you don't hear a lot of vibrato. There's some, but you don't hear a lot. I think it comes out more on a steel string guitar, which is nice. And for next time, I'm still, if you remember, working on this piece, Vincent, and I played you the first 2 sections, and I've been working on this third section, which is technically quite a bit more difficult than the first 2 sections, so I'm just showing it to you. So I've been working on that, and I feel like it's coming together in a good way. And so I'm going to be focusing on that, really concentrating and trying to nail that down so that I can play the whole piece for you next time we meet. So I'm going to say goodnight and sign off.